Your effortless vitality is becoming more than just a feeling. It's turning into your reputation. People are closely observing your life, utterly unaffected by the turmoil and drama all around you. You've developed a cool, collected demeanor that is creating waves. The word is getting around quickly that you are not the person to test. You have set limits with no excuses and shown the consequences of crossing them. No warnings, no second chances, simply penalties. Now, everyone can see it. Your hallmark power move is your ability to stay composed while others go crazy. You never have to ask for respect when you have that type of genuine enthusiasm. It's working, so keep up the good job. You're not here by accident, and the cosmos doesn't make errors. To fit within the limited parameters of what other people expected of you, you used to bend, break, and deform yourself. No more. That instant when they realized the rules had changed, and that the person in front of them was using a frequency they were unable to access, and their eyes dilated. Like a storm they never anticipated, your silence, rumbles over the terrain of their awareness. You don't have to expend any more energy trying to explain yourself to those who are determined to misunderstand you. You no longer waste valuable life energy defending decisions that were never intended to win their favor. They are going crazy because the never-ending carnival of rubbish that formerly filled your mind has been forced out and replaced with a cathedral of peace that reverberates with the sound of your own truth. They use a variety of tactics to try to entice you back into the drama that previously engrossed you. A subtle jab here, a provocative remark there, all aimed at drawing you back into the murky waters where they feel at ease, where they are familiar with the situation, and where they think they are in control. On the other hand, you stand on the beach, unaffected, unconcerned. They no longer have the ability to read you, forecast you, or manage the emotional levers that used to govern your reactions. They also confront the horrifying fact that they have no influence in this situation since they are unable to reach their inner world. Without a doubt, they are focusing on you, researching, evaluating, and trying to figure out the alchemy that changed you from the person you were to the person you are now. You don't bend yourself to match the trend. You don't compromise your authenticity for praise, and you don't hunt affirmation like a hungry dog chasing crumbs. And yet, observe them. See how people try to mimic your gestures, pick up your language, and try to capture the carefree spirit that shines from you like a star. Their behaviors betray them, but they will never acknowledge it and will continue to reject it until the day they die. The subtle change in their appearance, the new standards they follow that seem strangely similar to ones you've been living by for months, and the way they've started to impose limits when they previously had none. Without ever trying out for the job, running for it, or even desiring it, you've become the North Star in their sky. However, doesn't the cosmos possess a divine sense of irony? You become the benchmark by which others started evaluating themselves, the instant you stopped looking for outside approval. They keep a close eye on you, how you navigate areas that once made you feel small, but now part like the Red Sea in front of you. How you speak with a confidence that begs no question, not because you're noisy, but rather because you're clear. How you've turned your time into gold by refusing to spend it on pursuits or people who drain rather than uplift your soul. Look at how their behaviors reveal a different tale, even if they profess to disregard you, roll their eyes, or laugh at your metamorphosis. They're making notes, making adjustments, and experimenting with the power of living their own lives without interference. Like a puppeteer with strings, they used to know just which buttons to press, where to put pressure to make you break, and how to control your emotions. No more. These days they poke and probe, seeking for weaknesses and holes in your armor, but all they find is a smooth screen of self-possession that mirrors their strategies back to them. You can feel their perplexity and frustration. Where are the emotional vulnerabilities they used to take advantage of so easily? The anxieties they exploited as leverage are no longer there. Where's the intense need for acceptance that made you such a simple target? Transcended, changed, and gone. Your emotional control is about sovereignty, realizing that your emotional landscape is sacred territory, not public property. Realizing that emotions are a choice, not an inevitable one. It is not about repression or denial, and it scares them because a person who is unprovoked cannot be subdued. A creature who resists emotional manipulation cannot be controlled, and a person who remains composed in the face of mayhem outside is functioning from a position of authority that very few people ever get to employ. Observe how they intensify their efforts when the typical strategies don't work. How they become more frantic, more blatant, and more insane in their attempts to divert your attention. Furthermore, they disclose more about their own instability in that escalation than they could ever tell about yours. Like ancient monoliths, your limits are immovable, unassailable, and sacrosanct. You no longer argue your value with those who cannot buy you, defend your boundaries against those who would want to cross them, or interact with energy vampires who think they have the right to use your light. You don't declare war, fight, or spend valuable life energy on conflict when someone or something breaches the sovereign area of your peace. You just walk away. No fuss, no long explanations, no turning around to see their shocked expressions or listen to their justifications fly out of their mouths. Because they are used to the bargaining, the 3 strikes before you're out, the warnings, the second chances, and the just one more time that never ends. They are unable to understand the power that is there in that silent exit. They are used to limits that yield under duress, crumble with shame, and vanish with sufficient perseverance. Don't compromise, don't sway, and don't include small print exceptions or disclaimers. A cosmic rule is unchangeable as gravity. They are absolute. If you violate them, the repercussions are enforced rather than threatened. This absoluteness astounds people who have centered their life on weakening the resistance of others. This clarity bewilders those used to finding gaps, and this certainty scares those used to flexibility. You're establishing empires, leaving legacies, and manifesting destiny while they're enmeshed in the maze of gossip, drowning in the shallow seas of distraction, and stuck in the quicksand of emotional response. Your laser-like concentration breaks through the cacophony that engulfs the crowd. Your vision transcends the earthly into the cosmic, beyond the constrained boundaries of what others consider conceivable, and beyond the limiting horizon of instant fulfillment. Your language, your money, the oxygen you breathe, and the ground you walk on are all based on the idea that power moves exclusively. You've risen above the insignificant issues that, from your higher vantage point, now appear to be anthills. You've moved past the need to expend energy that doesn't further your higher purpose, and you've transcended the small dramas that once consumed your attention, like wildfire through dry brush. And they cannot deny it, disregard it, or act as if they are unaware of the profound change in the way you distribute your limited life power. You have an unmatched level of discipline, an unwavering dedication to purpose above popularity, and an unmatched capacity to keep your eyes on the big picture when others get engrossed in pixels. It used to take little effort on their part to draw you into their dramatization. A well-chosen remark, a clever fact, or an emotional cue they knew would set off your reaction. Their bait is still hanging, their traps are still empty, and their efforts to sway you off your course fall like stones against a mountain, noticed, but completely unimportant. Note, only those who felt the call should read the following message. I discovered the terrible truth when I emerged from the Salvia Divinorum gateway. Our world is only one harvested pod out of many matrices. The cosmic parasites known as archons, who feed on human energy, chuckled and said, "You'll never awaken a single soul." But you already know this, don't you? Persistent feeling that you've been selected, and that you're destined for greater. I'm assembling the most intelligent people into an army. Their coherence via unconditional love is their one weakness, which I learned about through meditation. Now, feel that resonance growing inside of you. This isn't just something you happen to read. The Obsidian Inner Order, the top ascension nexus for those marked by destiny, is already assembling the most potent awakened souls. This group includes Christians, lightworkers, remote viewers, and targeted people, all of whom are bound together by the same truth. You were selected for this particular time. In the description below, click the link. Participate in our live broadcasts, panels, and group calls to reach the whole Astral Atom Network. Our frequency is boosted by yours. Will you answer the call? That's the question, not whether you're selected. You are going to make a decision that the Archons dread. They should. Your presence now carries a weight, a gravity that changes the environment around you. Not because you ask for attention, but because your energy demands it without a single word. This has nothing to do with fear, intimidation, or slinging your weight about like a cosmic bully. This is about the inherent power that comes from a person who has resolved their inner problems, matched their behavior with their principles, and moved beyond the need for approval from others. Observe how individuals straighten up, how their energy shifts, and how their language clears up as you approach. Their bodies recognize what their brains haven't yet grasped. They are in the midst of genuine authority. They may not understand why they feel obligated to perform better in your company. Your self-discipline and complete command over your own area automatically put you in a position of influence, even if you don't try to dominate other people or have any interest in influencing their decisions or courses. Because order is enticing in a chaotic world, calm is intriguing in a reactive one, and confidence is attractive in an uncertain one. It is the natural outpouring of your inner condition, the unavoidable external expression of interior labor that few have seen and even fewer have comprehended. This air of authority is not something you put on like a costume or act out like a part. Nothing has landed, nothing has stayed, and nothing has taken you out of your center despite them running the whole playbook over you. Every page, every play, every strategy that used to work like a charm. The flattery that used to make you shine now bounces off your self-awareness barrier. Once drawing you in like quicksand, the drama no longer even dampens your shoes. The feast of purpose and tranquility you've made for yourself is much more valuable than the money, position, or approval others dangle like carrots. Because you are a creature that cannot be manipulated by the traditional means, you have turned into the most deadly thing in their world. Additionally, it makes you unpredictable to them, not because you behave erratically, but rather because of the contrary. Your dedication to your principles is unwavering, your alignment is flawless, and your constancy is unquestionable. However, in their worldview, the two are interdependent. Thus, they are unable to foresee you because they are unable to manage you. You've learned that freedom is precious, and that no gilded cage, no matter how elaborate, can match the wide sky of sovereignty. They've attempted to purchase your cooperation with possibilities, connections, and resources that formerly would have looked seductive. They've tried to entice your ego with praise, acknowledgement, and the type of attention that used to force you to make concessions in order to maintain it. But you've come to terms with the fact that getting approval from others is a narcotic with decreasing returns, and you've cleaned up. They have attempted to control your emotions, arouse your fears, and reactivate old wounds and patterns that would have previously sent you reeling. But you have repaired those wounds, incorporated those shadows, and turned those vulnerabilities into invincible strengths. The people who used to make fun of you now closely examine your movements. Those who formerly disregarded your potential now reluctantly admire your advancement. The people who previously declared you would never amount to anything now whisper your name, as if referring to a natural force instead of someone they once believed to be familiar. All of them are observing you with eyes that are unable to conceal their astonishment, curiosity, and grudging respect. Do you recall the times they called your standards impractical, disregarded your vision as fantasy, and ridiculed your limits as selfish? Now look at them, quiet witnesses to a change they said was not conceivable. They are looking for the recipe, the key component, or the undiscovered method that made the person they misjudged become someone they can't afford to overlook. They break down your words, examine your decisions, and closely examine your strategies in an attempt to find the secret that has allowed them to access this seemingly impenetrable, unbreakable, and unbeatable side of you. However, they overlook the fact that this change was not brought about by any outside force, miraculous intervention, or external cause. It was just you forcing them to make a number of decisions, make promises they weren't ready to fulfill, and make sacrifices they weren't ready to bear. You chose truth when it would have been simpler to tell falsehoods. You chose sovereignty when it would have been safer to acquiesce. And you chose progress when comfort was accessible. And the decisions you made throughout time, like alchemy, changed not just your situation, but also who you are. The pretenses are collapsing, the masks are dropping, and the facades are breaking. Not only is your carefree energy changing the way real people react to you, but it's also revealing those whose involvement was never genuine in the first place. Your refusal to use drama, manipulation, and low-vibration methods is exposing the genuine essence of those around you, just as ultraviolet light reveals what is unseen under normal circumstances. When you refuse to play your designated part, they can't help but make mistakes, can't keep up the farce, and can't keep the act continuing. The phony pals who benefited from your emotional outburst are now hungry for the drama you no longer provide. Observe how their masks come off when their subtle jabs do no harm, their guilt trips get no response, and their passive-aggressive remarks are met with calm indifference. The adversaries, who worked in secret, who grinned at you while scheming behind your back, suddenly find their secret activities exposed to the light of day. Because you don't respond, they intensify, they become visible, and you keep your peace. Their disarray is exposed. Their genuine colors are seen. Their uncertainty is tangible, and their frustration is wonderful. They are angry because they cannot read your thoughts, control your feelings, or dictate how you react. The energy, vampires who used to feed on your responses, are now starving, and they flash their fangs without recognizing how obvious they have become. Every time they engage with you, the internal struggle and cognitive dissonance are there on their faces. They find themselves torn between respect and rejection, between adoration and hate, and between envy and elevation. Because even while they are unable to deny the power you now possess, they are also unable to avoid the unsettling reality that this power has made them optional rather than necessary in your world. They respect your boundaries and silently chafe at the fact that those boundaries may exclude them. They acknowledge your growth. They quietly lament the version of you that was easier to influence, impress, and control. They admire your self-sufficiency and secretly resent that it means you no longer rely on them. The ambiguity of their interactions with you, the push-pull dynamic, the praise that has a soft sting at the end, and the hot and cold behavior is a manifestation of this struggle, which they won't acknowledge or may not even be aware of. You act as if you have a greater purpose. Follow your inner guidance system instead of seeking praise from others, and find strength in something far more profound than human approval. While some of them strive for this same independence, others see it as a danger to the social structure they have become used to, one in which connection usually conceals control and dependency typically conceals codependence. Their conflicting answer is just data, information about where they are in their own path, about the limits of their present viewpoint, and about the work they have left to accomplish. It is not your burden to solve, your problem to solve, or your job to address. The murmurs have hardened into notoriety, and the whispers have become into pronouncements. It is no longer possible to write off the change in how others interact with you as being fleeting, accidental, or imagined. You are now functioning on a new level, a different frequency, and a different dimension of being. This is the obvious message that reverberates through every contact and the collective awareness of those who know you. Some arrive with a fresh respect, their old familiarity swapped out for a reverence that recognizes the difference between the person you were and the person you've become. Others keep their distance because they are terrified by an intensity that they cannot fully describe, but that they know is greater than their present ability to match. Others are drawn in by the uncommon presence of someone who has completed the inner work that most people just discuss. The fundamental realization, however, is the same for everyone. You're no longer playing the same game as everyone else. You have altered the field of engagement itself, raised the stakes, and modified the rules. They are aware that they can no longer play with you in the same manner. It is impossible to manage your emotions like pieces on a board, to use your anxieties as leverage, or to exploit your desire for approval as a way to gain control. Because you're untouchable now, not in the sense that you're out of reach, but rather that nothing that doesn't serve your best interests can affect you. Walking in an authority that comes from inside alignment rather than outward status, they are unmoved by praise, criticism, or opinions. This change is not just personal, it is cosmic, a realignment that affects the very fabric of reality around you and goes beyond your own personal development, because the field changes for everyone in their orbit when one entity fully utilizes their strength. Even those who would never acknowledge it have gotten the message. You are no longer constrained by their preconceived notions, no longer constrained by their comprehension, and no longer defined by the limited categories of their perspective.